of Israel and worship afar off. Moses alone shall come near to the Lord, but the others shall not come near, and the people shall not come up with him. Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the ordinances, and all the people answered with one voice and said, All the words which the Lord has spoken we will do. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord. And he rose early in the morning, and built an altar at the foot of the mountain, and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the people of Israel, who offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen to the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half the blood he threw against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people. And they said, All that the Lord has spoken we will do, and we will be obedient. They also could properly keep the commandments as we see from the text in the law, Deuteronomy 30, 10 to 16. If you obey the voice of the Eternal, your God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, if you turn to the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. For this commandment which I command you this day is not too hard for you, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven, that you should say, Who will go up for us to heaven and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea, that you should say, Who will go over the sea for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very near you. It is in your mouth and in your heart, so that you can do it. See, I have set before you this day life and good, death and evil. If you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day, by loving the Lord your God, by keeping him, walking in his ways, and by keeping his commandments and his statutes and his ordinances, then you shall live and multiply, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land which you are entering to take possession of it. God did not put a system in place that people could not keep properly and then punish them severely because they didn't. This aspect of keeping the law was in all of its physical aspects according to the Jubilee cycle. People who meet for Sabbath and new moon Bible studies, and for those who may attend the more detailed studies that are held at God's 3 annual feasts, Exodus 23:14, all need to understand how to ask a question. People who are asking spiritual questions are generally looking for an answer for something they don't understand, or perhaps on which they need clarification. Occasionally, some individuals seek to trap individuals so that the answers provided may be used against them. Matthew 22:35. Sermons are presented in the lecture format, and this is known as didactic teaching. When coaching is added, people generally find that their understanding and perception of various topics of principles reviewed are enhanced. A blend of seminar format of presentation and quiz is used most often at the Assembly of Elohim Bible Studies. A doctrinal position is given with a previously presented sermon. The idea is then for the presenter to discover if the presentation has been generally understood by the listeners, or if it has not been, then why not? The use of an open format with participants will allow people to learn to better express themselves and help others frame their questions, that they will get them the understanding they desire. The Sperry Corporation, in attempting to reduce the failures in communication and the related deficiencies in its various corporate activities, noted some remarkable features in Western education and learning. The first communication skill is listening. This is first learned in our development as children and is most used skill throughout an individual's life. It is used 46% of the time, but is the skill least taught, either in home or in the school setting. The second communication skill is speaking. This is used 30% of the time, but it too is not well taught by our Western educators, or in the home where earlier deficiency improved proper communication. The third communication skill is reading. This is used 15% of the time, but it is taught before writing, and it is given more instruction than the first two communication skills. The fourth communication skill is writing. This skill is the least used, only 9% of the time, but is given the most formal instruction. In the West, those attending the basic public school systems do so in order to gain an education and to improve their job prospects. They are not generally looking for life-enhancing communication skills. However, they will have spent no real time learning to properly use their most valuable communication skills, listening. We are not taught how to retain the fundamentals of any style of presentation, how to query the points that are not understood or that are obviously in error. If we cannot readily listen and understand, or do not know how to subsequently research the questions that arise from a presentation, we will have problems even formulating a follow-up clarifying question. A research project by Jacob Jacoby, a Purdue University psychologist, found that of 2,700 people tested, 90% misunderstood even such simple viewing fare as commercials and Barnaby Jones. Only minutes after watching, the typical viewer missed 23 to 36% of the questions about which he or she had seen. Other research indicates that within 24 hours, we forget perhaps 50% of what we actually have heard. The understanding of the principles reviewed is often more secure than the individual points that endorse them. Here are the problems with our failure to communicate develop. This is related to the information that we understood but forgot. The total of any presentation we listened to, which we either didn't understand or subsequently then forgot, must be substantial. We are all susceptible because of the curse resulting from the rebellion. All people initially spoke one language that had few words. Genesis 11:6-7. And the Lord said, Behold, they are all one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do. And nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down, and there confuse their language, and they may not understand one another's speech. When we hold Bible studies, we must come prepared. The plan of God must be firmly in our minds as we read any part of Scripture. If we do not understand the plan, it will be easy for us to become confused. The whole Bible should be reread every few years with the Hebrew manner of writing these events clear in our minds. Be cautious in applying any Greek philosophical ideas to Scripture. We will need several or even numerous Bible translations, various interlinear Bibles, Bible dictionaries, and word studies, concordances, and an unabridged English dictionary. This will be a good beginning. We should all practice listening and practice researching subjects we do not understand. This will help us in all areas of life. We also must understand that the translations have